What's going on, everybody? It's your boy M.I.C back in the building with another YouTube video. Today we're going to be talking about my experience with the Tekken 8 closed beta test, or more affectionately known as the CBT. In this review, I plan to discuss both the pros and cons of the heat system, the grab system mechanics, the overall gameplay, my experience with the fight lounge, and of course simple controls. And believe, to sum it all up, I'm definitely going to give my suggestions as to what I think is going to make Tekken 8 or would make Tekken 8 a better overall product for anyone trying to jump in and play. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, I brought up my suggestions, and that's exactly what we're going to be talking about this time. My suggestions for making Tekken 8 a pretty good product for the masses and a better experience overall. Based off of my experience with it from the CNT to the CBT and where I think it can go to make itself an excellent product overall. So first and foremost, when it comes to my suggestions, I would like to talk about the heat system. Now that the heat system has removed the heat burst and heat dash so that they can't be used in a combo, as an extension upon itself, I think that if they reinstated access to 2 heat dash mechanics, it could be a strong bonus for players landing a successful heat engager and limit heat dashes to 1 per combo, much like how the heat burst and heat dash coding works for combos. If they were to manage to do that, I think that it would make it seem like it's more useful to use your heat engagers as a way to hit someone, as opposed to right now, people are using their heat bound just to use it. And while it does take away a little bit of the bar, there's not really a penalty associated with it. Yes, you can only use your heat powered up moves a little less than you could before, but not having the access to having 2 heat dashes like they did in the original alpha, I think this would be a good way to bring that back, and they could just balance it by not allowing you to do like a heat dash and another heat dash in a combo, or not, and keep the coding the same for the heat burst in a combo to a heat dash. Like that, I think would make it a lot better, and it would make it a lot more dynamic of a tool for people to use, and I think people would have more strategy around using the heat system, because they could see the benefits in landing a heat engager instead of just cutting on their heat because they got nervous, and they, instead of using like a power crush move, they're using the heat burst to try to interrupt offense. And that's really what I saw a lot in the CBT. I saw a lot of people just interrupting offense because they really had not much to lose. They had a little to lose, but not much to lose. But when you take away, if you were to add in that heat dash mechanic where you could add 2 heat dashes for being able to land your heat engager, I think that would really help put more emphasis on the importance of landing the heat engager. As it comes to the grab system, I think that they should either make counter hit grabs unbreakable, or they should just make grab punishers across the board. Like whenever somebody does something and they're too negative to respond from you being able to hit them, you should just be able to punish them with a grab. It would fall in line with how most people understand most traditional fighting games to work. If something is, negative enough for you to grab the person, then it doesn't make a lot of sense really when you think about it. A person cannot block a move, but they have the ability to break a throw. I understand that this is something that Tekken has done for quite some time, so it is the norm for Tekken. But I think if they're looking to make changes and make it more useful as far as making players have something that they can universally use across the board, with each and every character, as well as making those grabs a more useful tool just overall in the game, I think that would be something that they could do that would make it very, very different, and it would change up the landscape of the game. We're bringing a lot of new and more user-friendly player mechanics. I think that's just something in my mind that I think will be pretty dope to have in the Tekken. I would like to see how they could implement it. I'm sure they would have to find a way to balance it, but that wouldn't be too difficult. As far as gameplay, there really wasn't a lot in gameplay besides slight character balancing. Outside of maybe, a few characters with long combos like I spoke on before, and some characters with some type of outrageous damage in their combos, I think for the most part it was kind of balanced. Some characters have a little bit of stuff like the new character Azuzina. She had some issues with like her running move, given probably what I think is too much advantage for her move set, and for how difficult it was to step the move. And it was just, there are little things that I think they could patch up in the character balancing areas that really could help it shape up to be one of the more balanced and better fighting games in the genre. As far as the Fight Lounge goes, now here's where I have a lot of ideas for the Fight Lounge, right? I was thinking maybe they could add a King of the Hill station where the winner stays on, and a max K of maybe a max queue of about 10 players per station. Players should be able to choose to spectate or simply place their quarter on the machine, so to speak, and a notification could be sent to them while they are when they're next up to play. I think that losing their turn if they're not present when the match ends, that will provide a true arcade feel, and it will give an incentive to play, so you could have a leaderboard and it could track the highest win streaks. And that could be something that, is much like the real arcade experience, since that's something that they say they want to do. They want to really incorporate this arcade experience. They have the Arcade Quest, which is a mode that we didn't get to really try out because it wasn't on the CBT, but it's something that they have in the game. And I think this would just be an extension of, like, if you just had maybe one or two cabinets that were this King of the Hill cabinet, I think that would be pretty dope. It would give a lot of incentive for players who think that they have the skills to go up and keep a streak alive for the longest, and it also gives people who want to challenge that, much like in the old days in the arcade, someone want to challenge your ability to the guy who's winning and got a 50 game win streak. Everybody wants to knock him off the top, and I think that would be something that would make that Fight Lounge even more interactive. I think adding the ability to have private lobbies, which I'm sure is something that's going to come into the actual overall build, I think that should probably be added to the game. I'm pretty sure it will be included in launch though, so I'm not going to harbor on that too long. I think it would be dope if they could have that main stage screen pulled from random matches so you could watch random people playing, or if they had a station set up for that screen in particular, and it would have like first to 2 or first to 5 limit, and it would just auto vacate the cabinet for many players to jump on, right? I think that would be something dope, to be able to just go in the lounge and observe players playing the game, and just looking, and instead of having like to go to one person and spectate, you might have like let's say if you had you knew Anakin was in the lounge, and let's say even if it was the King of the Hill matches, right? Just something that could bring the attention where people could gather, even if it was just to come in and observe. I think that would be something that would be very, very dope to add into the game. I think that being able to toggle on and off voice chat, I'm not sure if that was something that was in the beta. I don't recall seeing it. Maybe I was wrong, but if you were able to put voice chat on with your friends, I think that would be dope. That would add to the interactivity of the Fight Lounge. It would make it even more realistic when it comes to the arcade scene and how that felt. And last but not least, and this is more on the network side, they may need to add a PC benchmark indicator, like the one associated with the Wi-Fi or wired indicator, so you could help better synchronize between players. Like I stated when I talked about the Fight Lounge, it was real choppy when you would play some players on PC from the console, Also, when you would play Wi-Fi from a wired connection, it just seemed like I don't know what they can do about that netcode and situation, but having that extra information, maybe having a better understanding of what the benchmark does and how it plays into maybe the connectivity between the two players and the smoothness of gameplay. I think maybe that would be something that would be pretty useful to have as far as I'm concerned when it comes to matchmaking. Now, this next part is I didn't have much to say about it when it came to the pros and cons, but I actually have quite a bit to say about it when it comes to my suggestions. In fact, when I think about it, if you look on the screen, this is my suggestion for how it would work. I think they should really streamline how the controls work. Like, when you think about it, if you're playing the game and you're playing with the controls, I think that maybe you could have like your 1 button and forward. It could be like mid attacks that are plus frame. And then you could have down be an unsafe big or quick mid. Unsafe big mid. So like, let's say maybe a death fist from Paul. That might be down and 1, right? And then you could have the plus frame move be like your running move, which is forward and 1. And then you could have like a quit mid poke, and that could be back in 1. And that would be able to kind of give people an idea of like, okay, this is how you poke. And then that could be like a down forward 1. This is when I use my big moves to try to do mix-ups. And if I see somebody blocking, I can use my plus frame move. And this will give people like a general idea of how that will work. And then you could have 2 be still allocated for launchers and combo button. You could have 3 mimic exactly the same thing as the 1, where you have forward and the 3 button being plus frame attack. That's a low, whether that's a standing low that gives plus frames. Just something that will give you plus frames that leaves you standing, maybe like standing lows, right? Then down being like a big high crushing low or a big unsafe low. Think something similar to like a snake edge, a big sweep. And then you could have back and 3 be like a quick low poke, right? So maybe that can be, a character has like a down 4, or they have like something that's not plus, but maybe it's a quick high crush, just something that's allows them to understand the difference between poking and going for these big huge moves, and understanding that they both have their purposes. Also, they could have 4 be the special button, where you have forward and 4 could be your heat engager, down and 4 could be a power crush, and then back and 4 could be a signature move from the character, right? So let's say, I know they did have something like this where they had the lows and throws tied to the same button. And, King not having a lot of lows, they gave him a giant swing. So you could press like forward, I believe, and square, I believe it was, a forward and 3. And it would end up doing a giant swing. I think that would be interesting if you just had it known that every character would have like a special move, a signature move that those characters are known for, assigned to a button. And then I would add 1 extra button, which would be the L2 button. And that would be something that you would have forward in L2 would be a 1 grab, down in L2 would be a both punches grab, and back in L2 would be a 2 grab. And I think that this would get the players more familiar with the system overall. And it would kind of streamline things. It would make a lot of sense. And it would make them feel more like they're playing the game. And it would be consistent across the characters. That's really all I have as far as my suggestions. I really think that these things, if implemented, could really make Tekken something very, very special. But what do you think? Did you get an opportunity to play Tekken 8's closed beta test? Leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already subscribed. And of course, ring that notification bell so we can continue to bring you more content like this and all things TKN House related. With that being said, that brings this portion of the review to a close. And subsequently, so the video. But don't worry, we'll be back with more. Cause you know what it is. The realm of the real, where only the real can chill. Peace.